March 9th, workout breakdown, leg day, week 3, again, of the Urban Legend training for anybody that is doing that. Not going to start with that. I'll start with the mini cycle. Mini cycle week 1 went great. I think there's a lot of people participating in it. I say that like there was really a choice. If you're not doing the Urban Legend, everybody's doing the mini cycle. I think a lot of people were excited to do the mini cycle, I guess is a better way of stating that, which is great because I think the mini cycles are fantastic. Like there's no pressure involved. There's no anxiety about one rep maxing or hitting particular numbers. So I think the mini cycles are just easier for everybody to go along with. And again, it's going to kind of stay this trajectory for the first few weeks. The first week we did pausing. This week we're going to do a full-blown tempo, which is a 4 count on the way down, 2 count pause at the bottom, and then explosive on the way up with you actually attempting to be explosive on the way up. That is a big point of that, when you guys do come in on the 9th, hopefully you get that reiterated from your coach. But again, 12 reps with tempo is a lot. 30% is like a decent amount. So I don't want anybody to feel like that's listening to this or does it this day to feel like they have to move a ton of weight here for this to be successful. You absolutely do not. Like this is all about line of motion, neuromuscular control, and your ability to actually follow that 4-2-1 tempo for the course of 12 full reps, which again, like I said, is a lot. The dumbbell step-ups fit right into the monthly emphasis. 1 foot stays on the bench or the box, whatever it is you're using. Remember, height over weight. So I like you guys to try to increase the verticality over the amount of load. Obviously, if you have some type of injury or restriction, we can always alter that out. But for the most part, height over weight first. Once you get to the appropriate height, females, 20 is the gold standard. Men, 24 inches is the gold standard. Then you can really focus on moving up load and getting stronger at that range of motion, which, again, 8 of these doesn't sound like a lot because we're so used to higher rep counts. Anybody that's done these step-ups with the appropriate weight, kind of like, touching or towing that line of your threshold of strength, like it is incredibly taxing, and you typically do quickly find out which side of your body tends to struggle or is a little bit weaker or more underactive than the other side of your body. In terms of underactive, I mean like more unstable than the other side of your body. And a lot of you guys probably already shaking your head like you know what that is, which is great. I love when you guys learn that kind of stuff, the fine-tuned stuff. Second block, posterior chain ladder. I put a 10-minute cap here. Just want to make it very clear, like this isn't a race. Like these are 2 movements that I don't need you guys doing just to make sure you finish under 10 minutes. Like that's not necessarily the goal. Definitely not the walking hip bridges. Organically speaking, people are going to get through the walking hip bridges as fast as possible because they're really hard. But your best case scenario is to treat those with like a natural tempo. It's to take as many steps as you can on the way out and follow that same pattern on the way back in. This is where you're lying on your back, by the way. You do a hip bridge and then you, on your heels, walk yourself all the way out and then walk yourself all the way back in. They're challenging, and 10 of them is a ton. But again, it does go down by 2. That superset with the deadlifts, I think, is a fantastic combination. But again, it's something that I don't need you purposely racing the clock for. It's pretty unnecessary. And I don't think it's going to really take anybody an entire 10 minutes anyways. But I guess we'll see if I have to eat my words on that one when we get to the 9th. 2-minute transition and another 2-minute EMOM coming around. Like I said, and said in classes and prior videos, trying really hard to make sure we get these all in. Again, the last couple monthly emphasis haven't really allowed for us to get these 2-minute EMOMs in, but I find them incredibly important. They're so easy to reference, and everything else we do week to week, that you guys understanding what you're capable of on a repeatable basis under this type of capacity format is incredibly helpful for you understanding what you can do and a lot of other things that we do. So doing this on each piece of equipment and tracking it, I think is very, very helpful. Now, if you're doing the Urban Legend, week 3, we're volume under fatigue now. We're moving out of just, the high volume stuff. Now, that being said, it's all high volume. But you're going to start with step-ups here. I didn't want you to front squat every single day. I think that there's a lot of other ways we can challenge your quads and your glutes that aren't just front squatting, unlike a chest press or a push press. Like you can still do seated presses sometimes and still work your way to, supplementary to a push press. Similar to that, like step-ups are very supplementary to a front squat. You can strengthen the same muscles, obviously a different movement, of course, but it could be argued that these are actually just harder than a front squat. So, dumbbells at your side, height trumps load here. I talked about that earlier in the video with the regular class. You guys want to try as hard as you can to get to that 24 inch box and then, start loading up as much as you can handle. Once you finish your 4 sets of that, you'll move into a 105 calorie bike ride. You guys will see a 105 calorie bike ride and an 850 meter run. I put those numbers there specifically for the mental hurdles. And I think a lot of us, we know it's a 100 calorie bike ride. We know there's a 1 mile run. Then we know there's an 800 meter run at the end. It seems silly, but these things have always worked for me. If you just do a little bit more than you're supposed to do or you're required to do, when time comes that these numbers do approach, you're going to be so fixated on numbers above this that from a mental standpoint, you're gonna be like, that's it. I only have to do 100 calories, like, or it's an 800 meter. This could be a six. Like during training, this was a 1600 meter run. Do you know what I mean? So we're gonna work our way up to that. The volume's gonna get pretty crazy as we keep going, and you guys are eventually, hopefully, getting to the Urban Legend with like. These numbers are a cakewalk for me. So that's my intent there, is to make sure that we just go over those numbers. And the same can be said for these 5 rounds. You notice it's 15 calories biked, 12 reps of the front squat, and then 20 body weight squats. Again, the volume is over the total amount that you will have to do during the Urban Legend. That's obviously very much so on purpose for all the same reasons that I just said. So obviously the physical side, in terms of just getting better with the capacity and the muscular endurance, but also on the mental side and overcoming the hurdle of those large chunks of reps you'll have to do when you actually get to the Urban Legend. So 15 calories biked, if done at the appropriate output, is going to make these transitions into the squats and the body weight squats all about trunk and being able to control your breathing. So your ability to regain composure is a big part of the Urban Legend, and really any workout that's challenging is staying composed. But then obviously just challenging your lactic buildup and your lactic threshold, because you're really doing 32 consecutive reps of squats here, even though it is loaded to unloaded. Once you get off the bike, as any of you guys know, it is a hell of a quad burner. So just crazy lactic workout here in these 5 rounds, and not to mention that you'd already done the 105 calories prior to that. So again, learning how to get deeper into these workouts, staying composed, and working on our lactic threshold are 2 huge separators during the Urban Legend. And again, any workout really that requires this type of volume. And then again, if you do get to the supplemental work, it's just like we don't really touch our posterior chain much during the Urban Legend training, and I think it's incredibly valuable, and it's not something we should forget about. So if you do make it down there, or even if you run out of time and you still have 10 or 12 minutes before the next class starts, this is definitely something I would love for you guys to at least try to get through 30, 40, 50 of them if you can, if you're not in a rush to leave the studio.